let's take a quick look at a wet owl. What?
Good morning, sweet world, and welcome to the No Dunks podcast on the Athletic Network, a fine network. It's Tuesday, June 11th, 2024. I'm J.E. Skeets here in the Classic Factory, and alongside me, as always, Tass Mellis.
Audio podcast listeners, this is for you.
Next to him, it's the bearded one, my top shot hot boy, Trey Kirby.
Hey-o.
Hey-yo. And last but not least, making the magic happen, super producer JD.
Hello.
There he is. Here we are. We're going to hit the beach today. Answer a few of your questions that you guys sent in. Keep them coming, nodunks@theathletic.com. Tweet them in at NoDunksInc. Leave them in the YouTube comments. But before we put our toes in the sand, we had some news yesterday. Not long after we logged off of yesterday's podcast, Dan Hurley will not be going to the NBA after all. The UConn coach declined a 6-year, $70 million contract offer from the Lakers to become the team's next head coach. LA would have made Hurley one of the NBA's highest paid coaches. Instead, Hurley is going to return to Connecticut to pursue a third straight national championship, a feat that has only been accomplished once in NCAA men's basketball history. You got to go back to John Wooden, who won way more than 3 in a row. But Dan Hurley rejecting the Lakers coaching job. TK, you called this one. You said, Dan's going to say no. And then we can get into where they go from here, but I guess you weren't all that surprised yesterday.
The Dan-cision.
Yeah.
Where were you? Putting the L in Lakers. Dan Hurley basically using the Lakers and Woj as leverage for his next contract with UConn. He won a championship. They gave him a huge deal, 6 years, $32 million, I believe. He won a second championship. They didn't pay up. They said, we just did a contract last year. You want to rip it up already? He said, fine. I'm going to go talk to Woj. I'm going to get an interview here. I want $100 million, 8 years, $100 million. That was the offer that was leaked over the weekend.
Right.
Instead, apparently, the Lakers offered Dan Hurley 6 years, $70 million, still a ton of money. Would have made him the 6th highest paid head coach in the NBA,
Yep.
I do believe. But it's not $100 million. It's not $90 million. Easier to turn down when you're thinking you can be set up for life as the UConn guy, building a program, trying to win a third straight national championship. But less than what the Detroit Pistons are paying Monty Williams. That guy hasn't won in the NBA either, so I don't know. I think the Lakers cheaped out a little bit here. Same thing that happened when they tried to hire Monty Williams way back when, Ty Lue way back when. They ended up with Frank Vogel. So we'll see what the Lakers do now. They're going to be hiring their 7th coach since Phil Jackson retired in 2011. Not a lot of job security there, so you hope the number is big enough to lure somebody, and apparently it wasn't for Dan Hurley.
Yeah, you mentioned job security with the Lakers. It just doesn't happen all that much. The last 5 coaches have been 2 or 3 seasons before they were let go. Mike D'Antoni had 2 seasons. Byron Scott had 2 seasons. Luke Walton had 3 seasons. Frank Vogel, despite winning a title, only had 3 seasons. And now Darvin Ham, who was fired, only had 2 seasons. So I think he likes the challenge of winning 3 straight, I suppose. I'm not reading into Dan Hurley's mind exactly, but it is something that's happening in the NBA more than has ever happened, where front offices are saying, that coach is gone. Yeah, that coach is gone faster than ever before. So I suppose this just ain't the time for Dan, because I'm sure he realized that he could have to move and do this for 2 years or something like that, rather than get some money. And the Woj drop and the planting of the seed definitely could have happened for sure.
I guess, yeah, the real question, and maybe we'll never know, is was he ever actually going to take this Lakers head coaching job? And did he decide not to because of ultimately the offer that they came to him with? Was it, if it was $100 million, is it a done deal and he's coaching the Lakers? Or was it all part of, Dan's plan with maybe Woj to drive up a better deal from UConn? And he was always going to maybe stick there and was sort of using this as leverage. Maybe we will learn more in the future. But with Hurley off the table, the Lakers now have to turn their attention, I guess, back to the 2 coaches who were in the running. We're talking about ESPN broadcaster JJ Redick and Pelicans assistant James Borrego. Might want to move quickly with Borrego if he's your guy, because the Cavaliers could hire him as their next head coach. These are the 2 vacancies. But do you think it's just right back to probably JJ Redick, who Shams and a lot of people were reporting for the last, 3 weeks before this Hurley news came out of nowhere? it was going to be Redick's until the finals were over, and then they would announce it. What do you think?
We were zeroed in, man.
We were definitely
zeroed in. The circle was getting smaller and smaller around JJ's head, then it just expanded. And now we got to re-zero in because Windy is saying that momentum is gathering for James Borrego in Cleveland, and then a guy named Roy says a little birdie told him that James is going to sign there. A lot of success for Jameses in Cleveland.
Wait, who's Roy?
It's just literally a guy in the stream team.
Okay.
Named Roy.
Okay.
So shout out to Roy and shout out to Brian Windhorst, who's probably talking to people.
Yeah.
It does feel like JJ makes the most sense. He seemed like the number one target all along until last week when Dan Hurley popped up. But now JJ has to be okay being the public second choice. Because they went after Dan Hurley. They did as much as they could.
100%.
They were preparing a massive offer for him. Either the roster wasn't good enough or the offer wasn't good enough. So now we turn to JJ Redick and say, but you like this offer, right? You're okay with this. You're okay coaching this old team that always finishes seventh. You're fine with that, right? And he has to be if he wants to coach the Lakers. It's a weird spot.
Windy did write, I saw this morning, going for Hurley was a stunner and aggressive, but it also told a deeper story. The Lakers weren't in love with the other available candidates. They might keep looking outside the box. I thought that was interesting from Windy. And it's a bit of a, obviously it's a bit of a shot at a JJ Redick, maybe a Borrego, these guys that had been linked initially to the Lakers head coaching spot, but then suddenly it came out of nowhere. It really did.
Yep.
The Dan Hurley is suddenly maybe interested in the Lakers job. He's flying to LA to meet with Jeannie Buss and Rob Pelinka. He had a great meeting. That's what we're told. And then he flies home not signing on the dotted line, and that was never probably a good sign for him actually taking it. But yeah, how do you feel like? What do you think Redick would feel like? Like any shame in being like sloppy seconds here, number two? But Vogel was the same thing, and he won a championship.
Sloppy thirds almost for Vogel.
Vogel, yeah, that's true.
Right.
What do you think?
Right. Yeah, is he offended? Windhorst's words were they weren't in love with Redick. So maybe they love him, but they weren't in love. Who knows? The momentum gathering, good one. Zeroing in, great stuff. Roy, great stuff. We just have so many great voices coming from multiple places. I don't know how JJ Redick feels. He was also interviewed by the Charlotte Hornets, reportedly, for their position. So it seems like if Redick is offered this job, he would take it. I'm guessing here.
Right.
But it just seems like Redick, gone from the NBA just for, 3 seasons now, would want to go back, because these reports just seem like they're a little too hot to be, I'm just going to go back to the podcast and the broadcasting world. So
podcast and the broadcast.
The podcast and the broadcast.
Yeah, it's a different
You should make
world.
shirts that say that.
Yeah, that's us. That's us. We do both. Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
The Athletic wrote the Lakers' plans remain unchanged, according to league sources. This is Buha. This is the team that's sort of reporting on this for the Athletic. Their goal is to have a coach in place by the NBA draft on June 26th. And the sooner the better. I mean, that's right around the corner. Yeah. And then, of course, within all of this is LA is hoping to retain LeBron James, who must decide whether to exercise his $51.4 million player option for the 24-25 season. He needs to do that by June 29th. So right after the draft is the deadline on that. And I mean, I guess that's a part of this whole Dan Hurley equation, maybe JJ Redick, whoever it is. LeBron says, I'm not having anything to do with this. Yeah. Like, who honestly truly believes that? Like, I mean, I don't know. I think that's silly. I wish he would just say, yeah, I have a say in it, and I'm weighing who comes.
My opinion.
Yeah, that makes more sense. But anyway, we'll see here. I guess it still feels like it will be JJ Redick. It's just whether or not this wraps up in a sweep or it's still a long series here in the finals, and then soon after. And you had pitched the idea that this whole Dan Hurley thing, like just suddenly falling in love with him and offering him a big deal, was maybe the Lakers' little bit of a smokescreen as well to say, hey, we're doing our due diligence, because there was a bit of a backlash to Redick being sort of the front runner, and everyone's like, really? This guy's never even coached? And, okay, well, we made a big deal, a big pitch for like the best coach in college basketball. We tried, but sorry, he turned us down. What do you want us to do? Now people will say, well, offer him more money.
Yeah.
But whatever. They can say it was a pretty aggressive deal. I mean, it would have been the 6th highest paid coach for never coaching an NBA game. It's not bad.
It's not bad.
Not bad.
Not good enough, apparently, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the Lakers. They're like the most valuable brand in basketball. And they don't pay coaches.
No.
Because they think you should be lucky to coach our team.
Yeah.
We'll fire you in 2 years anyways.
Yeah, exactly. So why would we give you that much money? You're only going to be here 2 years. We're going to pay you for 5 or 6. That doesn't make any sense. Any other thoughts on the Lakers coaching decision here?
Tough first job for whoever ends up getting it, though, right? Like, you got 40-year-old LeBron. You got Anthony Davis, just had his healthiest season in 5 years. Does it happen again? Give him the benefit of the doubt. They still were in the play-in tournament because they have Austin Reeves alongside him. You have nobody else that you're locked into for next season, so you're basically getting a whole new team around those three and figuring it out from there. I saw in a Brian Windhorst article today, I couldn't believe this. The Lakers have finished higher than 7th one time in the past 12 years.
I saw that. The year that when they took the year that won the title.
The year that they got 4 months off.
Yeah.
This is an old team that doesn't perform very well in the regular season. Not very deep. Come playoff time, they have to win, otherwise it looks bad. You go to the Western Conference Finals one year, that's fine, but if you get bounced in the first round, see you later.
Yeah.
It's a tough ask for literally anybody. So now they got to find somebody who's willing to step into that job with all of this pressure to win right away, and you haven't done it yet. Tough stuff. Tough stuff.
All right, we will wait to see who the Lakers decide on, and of course who the Cavs decide on. Those are the 2 coaching vacancies. But let's hit the beach.
You got the buzz, I got the rockets. You got the nuts, I got the chocolates. We got that chit chat down pat, blah blah blah. You got that certain special, je ne sais quoi. Let's go to the beach, baby.
We are on the beach reading your NBA-ish questions. First one, hey guys, was listening to Trey go in on volleyball, and I wanted to give my opinion as an alternate sportsman. I've been fencing for close to 25 years, and I know without a shadow of a doubt that Kobe would have been the most dominant foil fencer of all time if he tried. Wow. There are so many talented athletes who would rather be the last guy on an NBA bench than go for Olympic glory, which I get. There's more money. But I thought you'd want to tackle the following question. What D bench player would be the greatest to see in a different sport? Do you want to see Ryan Arcidiacono throw a javelin? Or Ochai Agbaji put on some skis for a biathlon? Thanks. That's from Dan. So Dan coming to your defense there a little bit when you were riling up the volleyball crowd out there.
Sorry, we got great athletes in the NBA. That's it.
We do.
Man, that's an awesome take. Kobe Bryant would have been the most dominant foil fencer of all time. Impossible to argue with.
I know.
The length, the quick reflexes. I don't know what other skills you need for fencing, but those seem like good ones.
Smarts, I would assume.
Smarts, yeah.
Obviously, hand
Pattern
IQ.
recognition.
Yeah.
Watching tape. Imagine Kobe grinding tape, doing detail for ESPN, but it's foil fencing against Roy Alexander III, Britain's finest foil fencer.
I'm only going to be able this summer in watching the Olympics, anytime fencing's on, being like, Kobe would have cooked these guys. He'd crush them. So thanks for that, Dan. But anyway, what deep bench player would you just like to see give it a go, either in an Olympic sport or some other sport?
Well, I am excited for the Olympics. Fencing is one sport that I would turn off.
I know. I sort of agree.
I do start watching it. I start watching judo. I start watching whatever is on.
Yeah.
But I kind of tune out pretty quickly of fencing. I don't care
don't really
how the
know what's
points are
going
given.
on. Yeah.
It's confusing.
It's just not entertaining.
So just beep, beep. You're like,
yeah,
what?
beep. You hear literally that
What?
tapped his
They're
face.
suddenly taking their mask off. You're like, I didn't even know it started. Shake on it.
I am interested in gymnastics. I am interested to see Simone Biles back after what she went through with the twinsies. The twisties. I call them the twinsies. The last couple of years.
Didn't know she had twins. I was like, that's
No,
news
she
to
doesn't.
me.
But I would like to see somebody in gymnastics from the NBA. Now, you obviously got to pick somebody short.
Yeah.
Simone Biles is 4'8".
Wow.
There are no 4'8" NBA players. Nowhere close.
Who's the
Who's the shortest?
Shortest player?
Current shortest players. You gotta go deep. You gotta go real.
Because Isaiah Thomas is not on a roster.
He played for the Suns. He did play for the Suns at the end of the season.
He could be.
He's tiny.
He could be.
There's a tiny guy from Memphis, Jacob
Gilliard.
Gilliard. That guy was little. He was a short
Gilliard,
guy.
the Raptors guy who could have been there, Marquise Noel.
Oh, yeah, he's small. He's like Mighty Mouse. Yeah.
But I went even deeper. A guy who's not in the NBA for the last couple seasons, but is ridiculously athletic. He's been playing in Shanghai. Eric Bledsoe. He's a little bit taller. He's a 6-footer, but he's so strong.
See him on a pommel horse for sure.
I could see him.
Yeah.
I could see him kill it. Mini Shaq. What do they call him? Mini LeBron? I guess it was his name. He could be Mini Shaq. He could be anything.
One of the weirder nicknames of all time, if we're being honest.
yeah. A Mini LeBron is a weird one. But anyway, he could do it. He could do it.
All right, Bledsoe. You said where does he play? Shanghai?
Yeah.
Huh. What do you got?
Averaging like 50 a game, probably.
He's looking like the Mini LeBron over there.
I went the other way. Rather than little guys who are doing flips, I'm going big guys who are just going to use brute strength to perform various field events in the arena. So I want to see Xavier Tillman try the shot put.
Oh, yeah.
He's got like that broad build that's really good. Those guys are just beef. It's pure beef. And also similarly, I think Andre Drummond would be good, but I want him doing the discus because I think it would be funny to see him spinning around all those times. He loves a spin move, man.
Yeah, he does. Wow. I love to see it. Oh, man. NBA Olympics would be must watch.
Yeah.
Get rid of the All-Star weekend, man. Just let them all compete in Olympic events.
Let's see what you got.
Be amazing.
Yeah.
I also went with the tall guy, and it was inspired by this photo of his dad, Manute Bol, in the water. It just looks unreal. And so I would like to see Bol get in the pool and just try any really swim event just with that length, with that reach. I think it's because you guys have been talking a lot about swimming here in the Classic Factory. Your kids are all into it. And it's just top of mind right now. But I just love that photo.
I like it. It says no diving on the side. My guess is that every hotel pool is a no diving pool for Manute Bol.
Yeah. It just says no diving if you're Manute Bol.
Yeah.
So Bol, get him in the pool.
Speaking of water, we know that Nikola Jokic does like water polo. I mean, that's not deep on a bench here, but Bojan Bogdanovic also played water polo growing up, apparently. He's sort of deeper on a bench. They could do water polo. Now, that is a game that's exciting to watch during the Olympics.
Hell yeah.
That's a good game.
Exhausting one, too.
Yeah. I want to see how well Jokic could last in the water, because you're right. You get exhausted. You get tired. But he seems like he can play basketball for 45 minutes, so why couldn't he?
Let's see how he treads. He did get in the pool immediately after winning his championship with the Nuggets.
He's like, come on, let's throw around the Larry.
Anybody want to toss this one-handed? Should be fun.
All right, good question. Way to get us started there, Dan. Let's hear from everybody. Deep bench players you want to see in a different sport. I'm sure we'll get some funny answers.
Next question here. What are some wild or outlandish NBA what-if takes you have? I have two. Number one, if the Sixers would have paid Jimothy Butts, Jimmy Butler, they would have at least one ring in the past 5 years, if not 2 to 3 rings.
Wow.
Not bad. That's not bad. Hard to debate, and it's not bad at all. Number two, swap Damian Lillard with Steph Curry during the Warriors run, and the Warriors have the same amount of rings, if not more, with Lillard at point, whereas Curry and the Blazers are in a similar spot. Dame had been in with them. This is not me saying Lillard is better than Curry. He's not. It's me saying a team drafts correctly and/or puts the right pieces around your superstar, you can have a great run like Curry and the Warriors did. Curious to hear y'all's thoughts about these what-if takes. That's from Caleb. Here's my take about that last one.
Yeah.
That's wrong. There's no chance. There's no chance. You saw what Steph Curry converted into when Mark Jackson left and Steve Kerr came in. He turned into a new player. He played off the ball. Steph was bringing the ball up almost every possession under Mark Jackson, except those possessions Andre Iguodala was playing backup point guard, and they looked way better because they needed Steph off the ball. Dame has never been that. And I can't wait for next season. We'll talk about the Milwaukee Bucks in next season, but I don't think this is right. I don't think Dame is that same guy as Steph. That's not wrong. That's not right.
Swap
I mean,
them.
we don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know. Maybe he gets under Steve Kerr's belt and things change. But I don't buy it. I don't buy that one.
What about the first one? What about the Jimothy Butts? You like the Sixers' chances of having at least one title? Let's say. I think he's going a little overboard with 2 to 3 rings, but would they have maybe gone through the East and won one if Jimmy is with Embiid and Philly?
I think it's a reasonable argument.
Yeah, that one's
least,
more
right? Like
realistic.
they lost to the Raptors on the Kawhi shot. The Raptors went on to win that championship.
Yeah.
You're telling me that the Sixers couldn't have done something similar, getting Kevin Durant hurt in the finals, getting Klay Thompson hurt in the finals as well. I mean, things broke pretty well. So maybe Philadelphia is able to pull it off there. Maybe having Jimmy around during the 2021 playoffs when Ben Simmons doesn't want to shoot and Embiid can't stop turning over the ball. Maybe having Jimmy Butler there to be the guy to soak up most of those possessions makes a big deal.
Jimmy was there for the Kawhi in your eye, though. He was playing.
Yeah.
I'm saying they were close. They were close in that
got
one.
better. Yeah. The East just keeps losing to the West. So he would have got to the finals. Would they have won? I don't know.
The Bucks won in 21.
Yeah. But I got one that is against that. Things could have changed for the Bucks. Something happened. In that second round, Kyrie Irving goes up and Giannis Antetokounmpo stepped under him. Kyrie Irving out for the rest of the series. The Nets were up 2-1 at the time. They're up 2-1. Giannis steps under Kyrie Irving. That's when they took over. They actually just won in 7 games after being down 3-2 in that series. If Kyrie Irving doesn't get hurt, the Nets win the championship. The Bucks do not win
21.
the championship. Yep, that's the one. That's the one. I think that's legitimate.
Okay.
Because
This
they
is
were
a good
up.
what if. I mean, a lot of the what ifs, I assume, are going to have maybe be injury related or not if someone is playing in a series. Did you go with that angle as well, TK?
Well, I mean, the two biggest Bulls what ifs are what happens if Michael Jordan doesn't retire for those 2 years that the Rockets won the championship.
Yep.
Rockets played the Bulls well.
Yep.
They didn't have Michael Jordan, though. Number 2, of course, what if Derrick Rose doesn't get hurt? They went to the conference finals, took game 1 off the Heat. Best record in the league the next year. Blows out his knee in game 1 of the playoffs, and the Bulls never got back. I've said a million times, we don't even know about Paul George's name if Derrick Rose never gets hurt. I don't necessarily believe that's true, but he would have never become the fake superstar that he is. But those are just Bulls related.
Yeah.
I watch other teams as well. What if Jamal Murray didn't get hurt? In the 2021 season, he got hurt the last month of the season, right after the Aaron Gordon trade. They were rolling with Aaron Gordon in the starting lineup there. Went on to win the 2023 championship. But you're telling me the Nuggets couldn't have won in 21 or 22? Like we're talking about here, those titles were kind of up for grabs, as every title is, it seems like right now. So I wonder if Denver would have won their first championship a couple of seasons earlier if Jamal Murray was still there.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
I like all of these. I'm going to go back to, 2007. What if Steve Nash never flopped? That's right. He flopped when Robert Horry hip-checked him in Game 4 of that second-round series. Spurs, Suns. And what happens after that? That incident, it leads to the suspension of Amari Stoudemire and Boris Diaw because they leave the Suns bench area and then they're suspended for Game 5, a very important Game 5. The Spurs win that game by 3 points. I like the Suns' chances if Amari and Boris Diaw are playing. Specifically in that game, when you look at it, the Spurs could really focus on going smaller because those were the 2 centers. You know, this is the 7 seconds or less Suns, where Amari was a center, Boris Diaw was basically sort of a point center. They're gone, and so the Spurs leaned into playing a little faster and quicker in that game, even though it was low scoring. Ginobili had his best game of the series by far off the bench, 26-10. So they win that Game 5, then they win in Game 6. That is a huge opening there. If the Suns actually win that series, I like their chances to win the title. I think they would have beaten the Jazz. Spurs took care of them in 5, and then it was the LeBron Cavs, a young LeBron Cavs team that the Spurs swept, and I think maybe the Suns would have been favored in that series. I think it was their best chance to win a title there. And I say he flopped because Nash has admitted he flopped. He did it to me, I think, first. I think I was the first to get that, but it got overlooked. But then Raja Bell has talked about it, and many other people have talked about it. And he did. I mean, he gets hit. It's a hard foul.
Yep.
But him, embellishing it and, flopping like a madman, it probably got, tempers flaring a little bit more and rushing to help your guy and guys coming off the bench. Oh, that's a huge what-if moment. If Steve didn't grow up loving the game of soccer because of his brother and his dad, maybe he wouldn't have flopped as much. Took it from the beautiful game, but that's a big one. It's a big one as obviously a huge Nash fan and a fan of those Suns teams. That was their opportunity, I think their best chance, and they blew it because he flopped. What a weird play when you think about it.
What a weird play.
Just lace him out.
Yep.
Horry says he was thinking about taking a charge and then realized that wasn't going to happen, so he sort of just I'm going to make this foul count.
Crush him.
Yeah, hit him with the hip check, and then there goes Nash.
Also weird that David Stern decided to suspend Amari Stoudemire and Boris Diaw because they basically just stepped off the bench, put maybe a foot and a half of their big feet onto the floor. They didn't come out and fight or anything. They just stepped over the line.
Yeah.
And David Stern said that no, which is odd because it is the Spurs that he's sort of making that choice 4 when, the Spurs are the Spurs.
I mean, it's not terribly removed from Malice at the Palace, right? It's a couple years later. There's still maybe that
that
stink
part of
on the
it.
league,
Yeah.
and he's terrified of like any altercation spilling in the whatever. He's really trying to rule with an iron fist there, and like, yeah, this is the rule. You cannot leave. But yeah, it was a little much when you see what they did. They didn't. You're right. They didn't come in and start like throwing bows and throwing
left the bench.
They just like thought about coming to help Nash out because the guy was on the ground. But yeah, it's a crazy one.
Yeah, I like taking these ones. We're betting on the best players. Like I like the Kyrie, Durant, Harden would have been together forever. They would have won the championship that year. Even OKC, when Patrick Beverley took out Russell Westbrook's knee in 2013, the year after they got to the finals, Westbrook went out for those playoffs, and that just broke them. And then Durant got hurt, so they just weren't the same. They still go back to the finals, I would say. That was the year that it was the Spurs went back. The Spurs went there after beating the Grizzlies in the conference finals, but they would have seen OKC if Patrick Beverley didn't take out Westbrook's knee. So different. Westbrook and Durant could have been bros forever. They could have. It's interesting stuff.
Good point.
Yeah. Westbrook doesn't get mad enough about that for some reason. I don't know why. He should.
All right, next one has a few questions within it. Howdy, gents. Been a big fan of the pod since, I don't know, episode 001. Those were the days. A couple of questions for you if you're in desperate need of content. First one. What do you think constitutes a run in an NBA game? On the broadcast the other day, I saw a graphic that popped up describing a 6-1 run. 6-1? Really? This probably happened over 4 or 5 total possessions of a game. Not enough to constitute a run by my standards, but I would love to hear your thoughts. Okay, so hold on to that. And then the second part here, don't ask why, but I was thinking about non-superstar players that spend a long time with one team. For me, the quintessential guy that fits this role right now is Miles Turner. But there have been some other great ones throughout the years. Udonis Haslem is the champ, but Nick Collison, Jeff Foster, Mo Pete also come to mind. Do you guys have any favorites that fit this description? I'm not sure what the threshold is for the number of games, but perhaps you can discuss. Cheers. That's from Dubby.
Yeah, we need content, so we kept both questions in, Dubby.
Both fun questions here. Yeah.
Well,
let's start with the run one. Does Dubby have a point? Is 6-1 run ridiculous?
That's not a run.
It's not a run.
It's a walk. I mean, it's
a jog.
It's a lateral slide, maybe. That ain't enough.
Okay.
Yeah, that could be 2 possessions. Back-to-back threes. It happens all the time.
Back-to-back threes, literally. Yeah. That's what it could be.
And the one, I mean, okay, is a 6-0 run more of a run than a 6-1 run?
I would say 10 years ago, 6-0 was a run.
Yeah, but not now.
Not now.
Not now.
You see back-to-back threes too often. There was a 6-0 run for the Celtics in Game 2. Derek White hit 2 threes. Cool.
Yeah.
That's not a run. You'll see a 5-0 run sometimes on popcornmachine.net. It seems ridiculous to me. 5-0. That's 2 baskets, man. You got 1 stop. It's got to be at least 3 possessions. I would like to see 4.
Yeah.
If you score any points, it's got to be 4 straight possessions. So for me, a run would be anything from 8-0 to 12-3. Those are the minimum runs that I'm talking about here. No scoring, 8-0 minimum run. If you're allowing free throws or maybe 1 basket, 12-3 is the minimum run.
Interesting. Yeah, your take on that, because I have a counter to it, I guess.
Counter it.
Well, when you say the 12-3 run, right, when you're including the team that's sort of getting beat and is like sprinkling in a pointer or 2, I only care about those type of runs to end a game.
Okay.
I don't give a shit if it's a 12-3 run in the middle of the second quarter. To me, a run has to be no points for the other team.
Okay.
Now we're running. 8-0 run, 9-0 run, 10-0 run plus. Okay, that's a run at any point in the game. I will only accept a 12-3 run to end the game or whatever. You know what I mean? A 14-2 run to end the game. Because then it's like, all right, that's clutch. I mean, that was important. So that's my only caveat to what you're saying.
Accepted. Caveat accepted.
Woo! We got there.
I'd love to see a 0 on a run as well.
Yeah. Now we're running. Okay. As for Dubby's second question, these non-superstar players that played with one team, and he listed some great ones there. And Miles Turner, I gotta be honest, caught me by surprise.
Yeah, we don't think of that one.
I was like, how long has Miles Turner been with the Pacers? 9 seasons.
Miles Turner.
That was longer than I thought.
Miles Turner has made the most money as an Indiana Pacer.
of anybody that's ever played for them, you mean?
Yeah, as gotten paid by
crazy,
the Indiana
actually.
Pacers front office. You don't think that.
Because more than Reggie because of just the time.
Yeah, money.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting one. But yeah, that's interesting. Very, very good.
When you look at current players that have played the most amount of years with one franchise, there's 3 Warriors, right? There's Steph, 15 years. There's Clay, 11. There's Draymond, 12. Giannis has played 11 straight seasons with the Bucks. And then these are the 5 current players that have played 9 seasons with one team. Miles Turner, Jokic, Karl Anthony Towns, Devin Booker, and the one I would add to sort of Dubby's list here of non-superstars, Kevon Looney.
Yeah, I had him on my list.
Yeah, that's a good one, non-superstar
Yeah.
variation, because you sort of maybe forget that or don't know that. And then next it's like Maxi Kleba.
Dwight Powell.
He played for the Celtics, I thought.
True.
Oh,
he played a half of his rookie season was with the
Yeah,
Celtics.
yeah,
but
yeah.
he to me is similar to Miles Turner, where it's like we want to move on from this guy, but we can never find somebody who's actually better to move on from this guy, so he sticks around forever. And suddenly you see him playing in the playoffs. You're like, wait a second, Dwight Powell's still around? He used to be their number 1 rim runner. Now they've got 2 more ahead of him.
Right. Yeah.
But Maxi's on there as well.
Yeah, 7 straight seasons with
Yeah.
the Mavericks, and he hasn't played for anyone else. Is there anyone else that you'd add? It doesn't have to be current, of course.
No, not current, because I was looking at guys that weren't as good as Miles Turner. Guys that played a role rather than what Miles Turner, leading the league and blocks.
Yeah,
that's
starter.
different.
Yeah.
Good enough. I got Matt Bonner on here because he played 10 seasons and won 2 titles with the San Antonio Spurs. I think it's easy to forget that he played 10 years there and never averaged double digits in scoring, ever. But shot over 40% from 3. Popovich used to say to him, if you don't shoot the ball when it comes into your hands, you are getting benched. That's a role play right there. He comes in and did it for so long. He did play 2 years with the Toronto Raptors. But I think to make this criteria tough, it's 10 seasons with one team. And, Haslam is a great one.
Yeah.
Carlson, Foster
I
only played with
love
the
Jeff
Pacers.
Foster. Yeah, he played 13 season with just the
One
Pacers.
team.
Yeah.
750 regular season games plus 50 more in the playoffs. And I mean, he was maybe the best one of the best offensive rebounders for a year or two, but he didn't lead the league in any category. He probably averages like 4 or 5 points per game over his career. That's a really good one. He just Jeff. Oh, Jeff's here.
Jeff's
He's still here.
Somebody box him out.
Exactly.
Always looked angry, man. He reminds me a little bit of a Will, not Will Forte. What's the other Will? Will Arnett.
Will Arnett.
NBA Will Arnett. Like he's got an
NBA Will
evil-looking hairline.
Oh, yeah, okay.
In particular, almost a Dracula-esque hairline.
Was Jeff Foster
That's a
on
good
the team where
comparison.
they all shaved their head too? Was he a part of that squad? Was he around?
I mean, he
at the
could have been.
beginning?
I
I
don't
think so.
think so.
I think
Oh,
so.
I thought he was,
I
yeah.
could. Maybe I just had a
Late
flashback.
90s.
of-
I don't know what Jeff
There's a lot of
started.
white guys that were suddenly bald on that team,
yeah,
so I don't
right.
know. Maybe got lost in the
Yeah,
shuffle
I
there.
could have mixed them up with another bald white guy for
It
sure.
was close.
Next one.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hi guys, with some non-basketball nights coming up and Survivor being over, what other content are you guys consuming? Any good podcasts, shows, or movies you'd recommend? Besides Air Bud. Yeah, that's definitely a recommendation.
Yeah.
Thanks for always keeping us entertained. That's from Allison S. Thanks for the email, Allison. So, any good podcast, shows, or movies? You got it all. You got it all in this one question. Whatever you want to go.
Well, I gotta say, I gotta go see Furiosa because I know TK got us started. He
Yep.
did his part over Memorial Day weekend, trying to keep the movie business alive. You saw it, JD. You said you've now seen it since.
I've seen it, yeah.
And I know TK was high on it. You as well.
100%.
Okay.
Awesome movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to go see it again because I saw it.
You're gonna see it again
Well-
in theaters?
Better hurry.
I know, yeah. One of my kids is in France. He's coming back today, so I kind of saw it on the DL with my other kid.
Oh Jesus! Jesus!
So, yeah. So don't say anything.
Okay. He
doesn't
doesn't listen to the
say
podcast.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
But yeah, Furious is awesome.
Okay. What else are you consuming? Any podcasts besides Is This Good? Or shows or movies?
Good question. Podcast. One Song. Ever heard of that?
I
It's
have
kinda like
heard of it.
It's Song Exploder. Our guy Jason the Barber turned me on to it.
Okay.
I just listened to one episode. It was Britney Spears' "Toxic." They just break it down. You're hearing the stems from from the song, and it's awesome. I loved it.
Okay.
So one song is a podcast that I'm going to be listening to. Time Bandits is a new show that's coming out. Apple TV. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. It's the guys who did What We Do in the Shadows. So
in.
Okay. That's it.
Is it going to be a comedy?
I assume.
Yeah.
It is kind of a. Terry Gilliam directed it, the original. So it's sort of
Time Bandits.
Time Bandits. You guys never saw Time Bandits?
I don't think so.
That's before you were born, probably.
Yeah.
And that's about it. I don't know. I'm not really super excited about any of this stuff coming up.
Yeah, I can tell in your voice.
What's going to be the biggest movie of the summer? Deadpool and Wolverine or whatever?
Well, it's the most anticipated.
Yeah,
but the closer we get to it, the more I'm worried.
Really?
Yeah. I haven't seen anything. I haven't watched a single trailer.
Okay.
They didn't have one before Furiosa when you saw it?
Well, I saw it at the Plaza, which is sort of that weird repertory cinema,
nice, yeah.
which was a huge mistake because it was a tiny screen.
Oh, no wonder you want to go see it again.
Well,
Maybe you can
that
actually
was
see the
part
movie
of the
this
reason.
time.
Yeah. But they do sell, like, I had a double rum and Coke watching it. So that was good. It's great having a kid that drives, It's just awesome. It's just great. It's like my own personal valet.
Yeah. Uber. Okay, what about you, TK? What would you like to recommend, either podcast shows, movies?
I watched Hitman over the weekend. Okay. Glenn Powell, that movie, where he's playing a whole bunch of different guys. Kind of silly. It was funny. I couldn't believe how funny it was. I think it's a Richard Linklater movie.
It is.
You don't see this guy doing plot-based movies all that often. But people tell me Glenn Powell's the biggest star in movies right now.
Yeah, with this.
He's going to be in Twisters. I'm going to see that as well.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, Twister. I guess I got to go see Twister.
Where'd this dude come from?
to.
You're right. He just
He's in
suddenly
Top Gun.
He was in Top Gun Maverick.
He was in one of Richard Linklater's other movies.
Everybody Wants Some.
Everybody Wants Some.
Yeah,
which
that's
I
where he
haven't
made
seen.
his first one. He was in Anything But You, or whatever that is. I didn't see that one yet.
Yeah, same.
Didn't see that yet.
Matt and I will dive into, on the next Is This Good? The Great Beyond, we dive into Hitman.
You watched it?
I watched it. I can't say anything because Matt yells at me every time we do a crossover. He says, "You're always putting your best material on No Dunks." I'm like, well, it is my job, man.
best material. You say like 40 words in the span of a week on this show.
That's true. But he gets mad. He gets mad every time. I will say that Matt and I are the only two people in the world that did not like Hitman.
No way. That's surprising.
Is it? Is it surprising?
Is it based off the video game?
No.
Oh, okay.
It is not. That's why it's called Hitman. Like two separate words.
Oh, okay. I honestly have never even heard of this movie. I don't even know what you guys are talking about. But
It's the #1 movie on Netflix, and it's rated 97%.
Jesus. All right.
And I think that everybody's crazy.
All right. Well,
that's all I'll say.
I gotta dip into this.
It's been recommended to me too.
Okay. I have one to recommend for you guys because I just wrapped it up last night. It's only a 3-part series. It's a docu-series. It's on Max. I brought it up with you guys before. Probably not on the show, but Ren Fair.
Oh, yeah.
Guys, you got to watch Ren Fair. And here's why. I'll tell you what it's about. This is sort of like the plot of it. Again, a docu-series. For half a century, 86-year-old George Coulomb, known to his employees as King George, has reigned with an iron fist over the Texas Renaissance Festival, the largest fair in the world. He has power, glory, and great wealth, but now he is ready to give it all up and spend the last years of his life in the quest for a romantic companion. So that's the plot of this series, and it's obviously real. It's this Texas Renaissance Festival. You won't believe this. This guy's a certified weirdo. It's incredible. But, I won't give anything away, of course. This is the greatest horror series ever made. They call it a docuseries. This is terrifying. And I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
In a good way. The music is incredible. The way they've edited this thing is incredible. And it's only 3 parts, so you can sort of fly through it.
Perfect.
And you're not going to spend a whole couple weeks on it. I loved it. But it's creepy, man, because this guy... As you can imagine, a guy running a Texas Renaissance Festival for 50 years.
Nerd alert.
Bit of a character. Oh, man. It's weird. But Ren Fair, do you have anything to recommend to the people?
This is up to you, Allison, if you want to follow my way here. I got sucked into South Beach Sessions podcast, which is Dan Le Batard's podcast, because I wanted to hear about the Stan Van Gundy horrible news that his wife took her own life last summer. And so I started listening to that. Then I started listening to every interview that Dan Le Batard has done recently. Kathy Griffin, Kenny G. You get to hear Kenny G play his sax. Joakim Noah, who talks about...
he plays sax on the...
Well, he just opens. He opens with it as Dan Le Batard introduces Kenny G.
Cool.
He's the all-time seller of jazz albums in history, and Kenny G is playing while Dan Le Batard is doing that.
Right.
So that's it. You don't really get to hear. It's not like your podcast where he ridicules every note that Kenny G is playing. Joakim Noah was a good listen as well. We'll go there.
Those are good.
Yeah,
I've caught a couple of them. Like they're just like obviously in a relaxed environment. And
they are extremely vulnerable, just being themselves. So, which is a very, very rare thing to hear on a podcast.
So there you go, bunch of podcasts, shows, movies.
You know what show sucks?
What's that?
John Mulaney's show. You guys told me it was good. It's a tedious watch.
I didn't watch
the live show.
Yeah,
I liked it.
I only watched the first 10 minutes of it.
There's 10 minutes that's good in every 1 hour show.
Yeah. I disagree.
It's a live show.
I disagree with that. I think there's some with pretty funny guests, like the people, not the celebrities or whatever, but the expert, I guess. I think there's a couple good ones, and then there's a couple really bad ones. And I think the guests sort of depend. It depends on who it is, and obviously the banter they have going. It's live. It's different.
It's not live anymore, so why watch it? That's the thing.
I watched it close to live, I guess, but
right.
I mean,
yeah.
Sure.
But I mean, like, if that's the biggest selling point.
Which it was probably. Yeah.
And it's like, this probably should have been edited. You might have got a good show out of it.
I would say.
Here's every comedian that's over 50. Oh, this show is crazy. What are we doing here? Literally, Jerry Seinfeld, that's all he said. Jon Stewart, that's all he said.
You watched the whole thing?
I watched 2.5 episodes, and by the time we got into the third episode, I was like, this is not funny.
Yeah. Well, there's a couple good ones, I'm telling you, but I'm not going to disagree. There was a couple boring ones. Yeah.
Yeah, I ain't going back.
Yeah. I liked it for its originality.
Yeah, exactly.
Which
doing something cool.
It was different.
Yeah.
Sometimes it was not good.
I mean, there's talk shows.
Yeah, not live though. There's no live talk shows.
The callers,
except for this one.
For this one,
which isn't live anymore.
Hey, what car do you drive?
Yeah, exactly. I did like that.
That was pretty good. That was a good bit they had going. All right, next question here. If you were a rookie in the upcoming draft, which nut dust team would you most like to play for? That's from Chivarino.
Oh, it's our man, Chivarino.
Chiv is living it up right now, sending postcards all around the world, loving his Celtics up 2-0 in the finals. He's feeling himself. He's sending in a question. Why don't you answer first? I mean, our nut dust teams, there's only 3 to pick from.
Yeah, that's true. And I will say what Chiv recommended as a book that he's reading, because I talked to Chivarino about the postcards he's sending in.
Yeah.
He's reading How to Watch Basketball Like a Genius. Okay, I haven't read it.
Who wrote it?
He said some. I don't know the author offhand.
How to Watch Basketball Like a Genius?
Yeah.
It's like one of those like classic how-to books, right? That you see everywhere.
I guess, but it's longer. It's longer.
What game designers, economists, ballet choreographers, and theoretical astrophysicists reveal about the greatest game on Earth?
Wow.
Written by Nick Green.
Jesus.
Okay.
All right, we'll dip into that.
I told him
Summer read.
I'm going to read Hanif Abdurraqib's There's Always This Season. You got to read that. I said that to Chief, and Chief hit me with How to Watch Basketball Like a Genius. Now, he liked some chapters. He didn't like all of them. I guess it's sort of like Trey's interpretation
it's like
of
a John Mulaney type of book.
Anyway, as far as nut dusters, for me, it's not Detroit. You just don't know what you're getting there. Charlotte, LaMelo may not be healthy. If I'm going in there, you never know with LaMelo Ball. I'm going Washington, D.C., which is a little surprising, but I think they are going to be better next season. Jordan Poole's going to be better in year 2 of being there. He's got Brian Keefe coaching him. Avdia's going to be better. Bilal Koulibaly is a cool name, and hopefully I'm French, and I'll love Bilal Koulibaly. He's French, and we can get along. I think there's enough. There's enough in Washington. I would get behind that.
Okay.
The other ones could be it, though. I could be totally wrong.
This is a tough question. Yeah. You're a rookie. You got to pick between the Pistons, Wizards, and Hornets. These are the nut dust bowl teams.
Yeah.
Do you agree with Wizards, or would you pick another one?
I basically agree with the Wizards because it depends on what kind of player you are. You can be the man in Washington. You could be the franchise cornerstone if you come in and you're a scorer and you take up all the possessions. Like, you got to be better and more efficient than Kuzma and Poole. It's doable. You can become the star there. Bilal Coulibaly is not the star in Washington at this point. However, if you're like a three-point shooting role player or a defender, there's a role for you, either on the Pistons or the Hornets. They've got franchise pieces there in Cade Cunningham, LaMelo Ball, Brandon Miller, guys who are going to be shooting the ball, the stars of the team. But if you become the guy that is the number 3 to those guys, you can play alongside either one of them and fit in there and look like kind of a missing piece for teams that are pretty bad. But if you want to make all rookie, go to the Wizards, I think.
Okay. Bilal Coulibaly, he's getting a nice summer workout bump right now. A lot of photos and videos going around of this guy putting in work in the gym, looking like he's getting stronger. I just saw that this morning here. I was like, oh, here we go. Shirts off, Ben Simmons style, but, he probably will play and will get better. So that's a good one. Good question there from Cheeve, and congrats on being up 2-0 right now in the finals. Hopefully I didn't jinx it for you.
Next one. Hello, No Dunkerinos. The Western Conference Finals consisted of 2 teams who made a big trade last season that was seen as a mistake. Rudy Gobert didn't reach his level with the Wolves, and Kyrie and Luka weren't clicking on the Mavs. Then they tanked. What team that made a big trade that didn't work right away might start clicking next year? The Suns? The Bucks? Those are Florian's suggestions. Florian from Belgium, thank you so much for the email.
2 good suggestions.
Yeah.
The seasons were not successful by any means with the Suns and the move they made with Beal, and then obviously the Bucks making the Damian Lillard move. I guess if I had to pick one of the 2, I guess I would go with the Bucks.
Definitely.
Of those 2 as maybe more like clicking and working better in sort of year 2. Got some new assistant coaches coming in there. Darvin Ham back with the squad. Are there any other ones we're forgetting that like trades that happened sort of this year that didn't pan out right away that maybe could?
The Pacers did a big trade. It's the Pacers and the Knicks. They got Siakam and OG Anunoby. Things worked out pretty well for the Pacers. I mean, the bracket broke nicely for the Pacers. They did get swept in the Eastern Conference Finals, but it was an exciting sweep. They were better, but I still think that Halliburton and Siakam can play off each other a lot better. It didn't seem like they necessarily had a playbook in place for Siakam. They're like, just find your points where you fit in. He needs to be a bigger part of the offense going forward. Ben Mathurin will be back. Maybe you get something more from Jarris Walker this next coming season. So those are your big improvement areas because not a lot of cap space. They traded all their stuff to get Siakam. So it's got to be Siakam and Halliburton figuring out a way to coexist and look awesome together. But I could see that happening. Like, I don't think the Pacers necessarily are taking a step back next season. They might not make the conference finals if things don't break perfectly once again, but they should at least be gunning for one of the top 6 seeds, maybe even top 4.
Yeah. The issue with them, you're right, you said it, is like the bar is like higher than these other incidents where some of these trades with the Wolves and Rudy didn't work right away defensively, and then the Luka and Kyrie, and they leaned into the tank and all that. But the Pacers made the conference finals. But
I don't know. People are still thinking that the Timberwolves might trade Karl Anthony Towns after making the conference finals. So they're still being ridiculed after having a good season, which I don't think happens. But the Bucks and Suns ones are interesting because they're really way over the cap, so they have to make everything happen internally. You got Doc Rivers bringing in Darvin Ham as his assistant coach. Maybe it's done there. They really have no other options. I will say this circles way back to Caleb's question way off the top where he mentioned Damian Lillard being the trade last season. I like the Bucks one because Damian Lillard has said as he went into postseason, never heard him talk about this, but he talked before. Never heard him talk about this before, but coming into this offseason, he said, I got to get better defensively. That's a good sign, I guess. But that's a lot to ask of Damian Lillard to be a perimeter defender because he's never really had to do that. And that's what the Bucks have to do. And where are they going to do that? Where are they going to find somebody like that to help out? That's an interesting one. And the Suns have to do the exact same thing. They have the highest salary next season right now, so they're going to have to do it probably internally or trade a 1-for-1 because they can't aggregate guys to make a trade either. So that's an interesting one there.
Their move was getting Budenholzer.
They also moved sort of
Bud.
non-player move. It's an internal move. I'm interested to see what the Cavs do with a new coach to see if he can make Garland and Mitchell work together. That'll be their obligation. Yeah, well, I think that's
what their team looks like.
Yeah, I think that will be the option. And I wonder what the Raptors do. They got to be better. They got to be better after getting quickly with Barrett and with Scotty Barnes, who just said, I don't know if you saw his video. I think it was a Twitch of him playing video games where he said, "Hey, you want to get a girl?" Because that's what somebody was asking about. Just go to the mall.
Yeah.
Just go to the mall. Find a girl. There's girls in the mall. Find a girl. Find a good girl in the mall. Scotty Barnes got his focus.
If you want to find a girl, go to the mall. Is that true today?
Are girls in the mall? Yeah.
People go to the mall still, I guess,
They're still there.
during the summer just to hang out. Air
People at
conditioned.
Lennox.
Yeah, sure.
It's like, you're a teenager. What are you going to do?
What else are you gonna do? Yeah.
Go to the mall.
Yeah, that's a great point.
All right. Great questions, guys. Keep them coming. NoDunks@theathletic.com. Keep sending them in. Okay, before we go, let's get to Tweet of the Night.
Tweet of the night. Wow.
Twitter.
Tweet of the night. It comes to us from Ev in 4, who tweeted out a photo of Anthony Edwards and Nikola Jokic, saying, "Can we all agree Timberwolves-Nuggets was the best series of the whole playoffs?" Now excluding finals, because we're only 2 games in. Who
Right.
knows what could happen? Do you think that Ev is right here? Timberwolves-Nuggets best series of the playoffs so far?
That series was not that amazing
Yeah, I agree.
when you actually think about it. It went 7, and there was a
7.
huge 20-point comeback and a shocking upset on the road for Minnesota to knock off the defending champs. Like, good ending to it. But those were a lot of blowout games.
We had one game that was 26 points, another that was 27, and another that was 45.
Yeah, there was a lot of those. So I don't think
Surprising stuff.
I mean,
massive swings both ways, right? Like,
Yeah.
Minnesota goes up 0-2. Then they're down 3-2
Yeah,
after we watched
yeah.
Jokic play the best quarter that he's ever played in Game 5. And then it's still crazy. Like, when you're watching this NBA Finals and you're like, Denver was up 20 in the second half of Game 7 and
I know,
lost.
that's nuts.
That's unbelievable
Yeah.
when you really go back and think about it. But I kind of agree. I don't think that this is the best series of the whole playoffs. I would probably vote for Knicks 76ers.
I was going to say one of the Knicks series were better. Like either Knicks 76ers in the first round, which went 6. I mean, Knicks Pacers had some fun moments early on in that series. Guys started sort of dropping like flies as that went on. But yeah, I'd have them above. I agree. As entertaining, as crazy as that sort of Wolves-Nuggets series was.
Yeah, it was very good. There was a lot of dramatic things happening as Trey just went through. We wondered, the reigning champs here, down 2-0. What's going on with them? And it was kind of nice. I'm surprised I'm saying that, but it was nice to have 3 days off because there's dramatic stuff happening. Jokic presented his MVP and given everything from his family. There's that good stuff, and I think that helped them ring it all back. But from minute to minute, watching the game, it wasn't the most entertaining series, I should say. The Knicks-Sixers was, for me as well. It was just so juicy. It was a 2-7 matchup. That wasn't a true 2-7 matchup, really, in the first round.
Yeah.
So that one was great. And, yeah, maybe we're just big coast biased with the Knicks, because the Knicks-Pacers was also awesome.
It was good.
Yeah.
I'll throw a little love to a Western Conference series. Not that it was overlooked, but I thought the Mavs-Thunder series was pretty damn good, too. I think 3 of those games sort of came down to the wire, where Dallas ultimately won in Game 6. It had the weird ending with the foul in Game 6 that obviously in the corner there with Shea, but those were some great games. And at least one of those teams is in the finals, is representing the Western Conference. So just a little love for that one. I thought it was a great one.
It was. There's some small market love. We need some small market love here. Yeah, that one was fun. Like, minute to minute, what are these teams doing? Who are these teams? But it was buried under Timberwolves-Nuggets.
Yeah.
It was. It didn't get
Well,
as
because
much.
a lot of people thought
Pacers.
one of those 2 teams was going to be the team in the Western Conference,
Indeed.
or representing the West in the
Yeah.
in the finals, and it was ultimately Dallas. Good tweet, good fun tweet there, good question. All right, here's where we are for the rest of the week. No podcast tomorrow on Wednesday, but instead we're going to jump on playback at 7:15 p.m. Eastern for the greatest NBA Finals pregame show on playback, and we'll get you all set and pumped for Game 3 of the NBA Finals. We got Game 3 tomorrow night. That's Wednesday night, so we'll do a little pregame show, and then on Thursday, of course, we're back in the Classic Factory to break down Game 3. We're either going to be saying, wow, holy crap, Boston Celtics are about to win their 18th championship, or we're like, oh, hold on, maybe we got a series here. So that'll be Thursday morning, and then Friday night is Game 4. We're going to do a podcast immediately after Game 4. So Friday night, What did we say?
Friday Night Silly Boys.
Friday Night Silly Boys. Plan on being here, I think, in the Classic Factory. Maybe we'll watch some here. And we'll jump on soon after Game 4 wraps up and just do that podcast recapping that game right then and there. So that's the sked for the rest of the week. No pod tomorrow, but lots more coming at the end of the week. Thanks for joining us right now, though. Appreciate it. Keep sending those questions in. Till next time. Clipper Bros.
You heard it here first. Have a great time. Turn up. Love you guys. Awesome.
Yes, thanks for joining us. And remember, Celtics and the Lakers both have 17 titles. Celtics may obviously get to 18, and then the Lakers get to hire a coach. It's going to be a great day. Parade for the coach, I guess.
Wow.
Yeah, why not?
JJ Redick parade. I like it. Praise the day, people.